Negros, indios, nativos, somos los verdaderos israelitas.
¿Esto dónde lo dice, según el versículo?
Esto dice en la Biblia.
Show that Puerto Ricans love America, but that ain't reality.
Police attack was planned beforehand. Only white cops were assigned.
Then our only recourse is to defend ourselves.
We tried to move people onto the sidewalk, but the police were all out for blood.
Another series of protests was staged by thousands of students, parents, and the Brown Berets. In June 1968, the group that had become known as the East LA 13 was released on bail.
Demonstrate to our people and we deserve better and that we could, get better.
I don't think there's ever been a time when you need more of the spirit of the young lords than today.
I guess we had no fear. We just did what we thought at the time was the right thing to do.
National captain of the Black Panther Party. They are making it their business to process arresting me and my wife, through a process of arresting numerous Panthers on the block.
Police just went in and started beating them viciously. It was ugly. They were just yelling at us, you dirty spicks, dirty Mexicans, who do you think you are?
Negros, indios, nativos, somos los verdaderos israelitas.
¿Esto dónde lo dice, según el versículo?
Esto dice en la Biblia. Está escrita en la Reina Valera.
We got to live in this district. The whiteys don't come down here, man, and live in the fucked up houses, man. The whiteys don't come down here, man, and have all the fucked up fucking no heat in the fucking winter time. You understand? We do, Jack. So therefore, like, wow, we got to make it a better place. You understand that? Like they want to make it a racial problem, So we didn't want that, So I jumped in, I put in for my boy, because he's a black brother. So we made an unracial problem. We the Puerto Ricans should rise up and defend ourselves against these dogs. The North American is trying to steal our identity as Puerto Ricans and call us Americans. We Puerto Ricans are Puerto Ricans till the day we are born, until the day we die.
Chicanos killing Chicanos is what they want. Blacks and Chicanos killing each other is what they want. That's how they run this place. Once we get together, they don't run shit.
All right, hey, shalom, y'all. Bashim Shepherd the Thug. To all the Akim out there, to all the brothers and sisters of the ISUPK, all my Black, Latino, and Native American Indian brothers and sisters out there. Let me see if I can fix this camera a little bit more. Okay, there we go. That's a little bit better. Hey, shalom, Israel. Man, it's been a minute. Been busy getting ready for our lecture that we're going to be having in Chicago. It's a lot of work, man. We're going to be putting in some work in Chicago. We're going to be traveling out there this month. We're going to do a lecture, man, Most High in Christ, me and Captain Al-Shaparayim. You know, we're going to be out there and we're going to be giving a lecture on, you know, before Columbus came to this continent. Don't forget, man, you're sitting on occupied territory, northern Mexico. You know what I'm saying? So we got to know our history in order to be able to really respond to what, you know, what America has to say to all this. You know what I'm saying? Because we're seeing it go down. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, everybody. Salak, you got to turn off that fan for a second. All right, we're back in. We're back in. All right, so shalom, y'all. To all the brothers and sisters out there, man. Don't forget, I'm also on the Res, Chicago, the Res. We transmitting there. Also on ISUPK, The Inconvenient Truth on YouTube. Catch me there too. Or right here at ISUPK StreamYard. And if this one goes out, I'm always on ISUPK, my Facebook page, Kazak Yad. You know, you can catch me there too. So if anything happens, you know, start to log out or lose any of you know, transmission, you know, you can catch up to me here. You know what it is, man. I'm Officer Kazak Yad of the ISUPK 5000. You know what I'm saying? Coming out of California, as always, under Commanding General Yohana. You know what I'm saying? And as always, man, every Wednesday, The Inconvenient Truth here, we're going to speak that whole truth, the whole truth. And what do they say? Nothing but the truth, right? And you know what it is, man. I'm going to go in on what's going on with Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians. But as always, man, I kind of focus on the Hispanic and what's going on with our people, because our people have been oppressed for over 600 years. You know what I'm saying? And it hasn't stopped, man. We still living in the same conditions, still living in the same garbage that we've been living since day one, since the oppressor, you know, because we can't say anything else, but I can call them, you know, I can call them gringos. You know what I'm saying? Los pinches gringos. What else can I say? I can say los gabachos. We call them gabachos too, you know, los gabos. We call them gabos too, the goddamn gabos. You know what I'm saying? El hombre blanco es el diablo de cual habla la Biblia. You know what I'm saying? So we can always use terminology that, you know, we don't get booted off. But let's get right back to the point. So today, sir, you know, America is running on borrowed time. You know what I'm saying? America is running on some borrowed time. America's time is coming, and right now they're at the end of their stick. You know, the Bible tells us a nation divided cannot stand. You know, cannot survive, cannot live. A nation divided within itself is not going to stand, and that's what we're seeing in America today. You know, as soon as it seems that they lifted this whole COVID brand, well, America is back to normal. We got the shootings going on all over the place again. Man, it wasn't long ago that we saw a shooting and then another shooting and then another shooting. And what happened again? This week, we had just another shooting. What was that, in Chicago somewhere? We had another shooting. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, these devils, man, they're ready to go. They're arming themselves, man. Now they're talking about they want to ban assault rifles, AK-47, you know, M1s, all these. They want to ban them because they're thinking, well, you know what happens is that these rifles are killing people. That's what it seems like. They're thinking the guns are killing people, but we know better. You know why? Because the Lord, when he, or who was that? When Jacob issued, you know, to each one something. Well, he issued to what is that? Esau, right? A sword. Right? Isn't that what he's blessed with? He's blessed with the sword. He's blessed with a weapon. So no matter what you do, you may take away the AK-47, but they're going to find another way to kill you. You know what I'm saying? What they do, not, I remember, I don't know, a lot of folks, you know, I don't want to give up my age or anything, but in the 80s or really in the 90s, there was this thing where they were sending envelopes with this dust that was poisonous. You know what I'm saying? And they were saying that it would come in your mail, and if you opened it, this dust, man, I can't remember the name of the dust, but this dust, the particles could actually, you know, kill you. You know what I'm saying? And there was a threat that they were doing these things. They were sending these things out in envelopes to different people. I remember some senator or something like that. This is back in the 90s, early 90s, that they were doing this. So no matter what, man, Esau is going to find some way, some manner of converting something into a weapon. You know, when my ancestors, when we received these Spaniards, the Spaniards were at war with us not because we were at war with them, but because they wanted to, you know, wipe us out. Pretty much. That's the honest truth. These people have always wanted to wipe us out, to do away with us. Why? Because they envy what we have. You know, I spoke about not too long ago in one of my classes about how a lot of people say, well, you know, the Spaniard, especially, like, I'll tell you, man, especially my people, carnales, if you're out there, la raza mexicana, you know, a lot of our brothers too. Well, first of all, shalom to Taza, Aya Gabar, shalom to Manalik Gutierrez, shalom, carnal, shalom to Napash, shalom to him too, the water for joining in, jumping on the show. You know what I'm saying? Real quick, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, you know, whatever you want to, you know, post up, absolutely, man. I will address them. I will put them. If you got a question, I will answer that question. You know, that's what we're here for, ISUPK. But let's go back to it. So, you know, a lot of Hispanic brothers who are into the indigenous, Mexica, indigenous Aztec movements, one of the things that they tell you is, well, the Bible is the white man's book. That's a common thing that comes at me when I go up against, because I go up a lot against a lot of times against brothers that are into the indigenous movement. The Hispanics, believe it or not, there's a huge movement of indigenous movement in our culture, where a lot of people are like, you know, we don't want to be Catholics, we don't want to be Christians, we want to be indigenous. We want to go back to our roots. So they even got schools out here. Out here, there's a city, El Sereno. El Sereno is all Hispanics, big population of Hispanics, and they just so happen to have a school. It's called Semillas del Pueblo, seeds of the town, or of, you know, Semillas del Pueblo, and this school was established in order to educate Hispanic brothers and sisters, and Salakia, I'm using the word Hispanic. Once again, we use these words, you know, because it's what most Latinos, you know, can relate to. You know, if I was to use our true word that we use to describe each other, most of them would not even know it unless you're into that movement. But, you know, the idea is to teach Latinos, Hispanics, or whatever you want to call yourself, Mexicanos, raza, and I like to use the word raza, but raza, to connect with your indigenous past. That's the whole purpose of it. But of course, you know, with this whole movement, the part of it is that they're also trying to connect with, you know, the God of this, the God of that, the God of nature, the God of this, and they're far from connecting to a creator. You know what I mean? We have a creator because we're perfect beings. So there's got to be a creator. There can't be multiple creators. There's only one creator. You know what I'm saying? There's only one. There's only one Most High, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. There's only one that is. Salakia, I'm on the class. You interrupted me. I'm gonna hang up on you, Salakia. Oh, Salakia. Let me resume this. Okay, there we go. Whoever was that, whoever would jumped on, man, Salakia. Well, if you're watching me, you're on my class, you know, Salakia for that. I didn't mean to do that. But Yashakar Ban Yashakar, the water for being on the show. Vanessa Vega, it's the water for being on the show. Shabar, it's the water for being on the show. You know what I'm saying? Let me see who else is on here real quick. One West Virginia, all the raza from Virginia, the water for jumping on. You know what I'm saying? And we go forward. So a lot of these indigenous brothers and sisters, man, they are brothers and sisters. They're hung up on a lot of the culture, which is really producing, how could I say, a misguided way of coming back and reconnecting with us, because we know that, you know, even our oppressor knew that we were Israel. You know what I mean? Like, they knew we were Hebrews. They knew we had a connection to some tribe or some people that were coming from another land across the sea. You know what I'm saying? So they even knew that. But let me go back to the point, being that, you know, they put up schools to re-educate, to educate. And when it comes to the Bible, they're always jumped up on, oh, well, the Bible is the book, the white man's book. Marakapath, Yashikar, Shalom Yahweh Bashim Shirka, Barakayala, Shalom Yahweh Bashim Shirka, Karnal. So they're hung up on continually pushing the issue that the Bible is the white man's book. But let me tell you something, or let me not say the white man's book, the Spaniards' book, the Catholics' book, because, you know, if you know the Mexican history, they will know that we were conquered by Catholics. The Catholics are actually the ones that came into our nation, into our place, you know, and destroyed us, overtook us, conquered us, did what they did to us. It was the Catholics. They were the ones who did that. Now, if you look at the Catholics were Romans, the Roman Catholic Church. Well, the Romans were also, you know, the Greeks, you know what I'm saying, coming from there. They spoke Latin because Latin is a Greek tongue. So that's why they spoke Latin. When actually when you go into the churches, the Mexican churches back in the day, a lot of the churches would read the Bible in Latin. So we didn't even know what they were saying. We only knew they were speaking about the Bible as something, you know, they were giving you the bread and stuff. I remember, man, I grew up with my grandma, and my grandma, oh man, she was a hardcore Catholic. Darnell, Shalom Yahweh Bashim Shirka. My grandma grew up heavy Catholic, and I grew up with my grandma, man, because she grew up in what's known as an ejido or a rancho, a poor town. And man, I love the poor town, man. I used to love that place. El Ejido was my favorite place to be because it was all like kind of, you know, like nothing was really, it wasn't city. It was all like ranch, and I kind of like growing up like that. It was a good thing for me. So anyways, my grandma was heavy into that, and I started seeing, you know, I learned about the whole, you know, Catholic thing. But getting back to the point, you know, they're the ones who came into Latin America and then conquered us. And, you know, they bring this book that today, if you talk to these Mexica or these indigenous people who want to push the indigenous culture to Latinos, you know what I mean? And this goes for all the brothers who are out there battling. These people that are Mexican, that are Hispanic, right? Or better term to use, the raza. So the word raza means blood. In a sense, that's what it means. It means blood. So like raza, people from El Salvador are raza. Hondureños are raza. Mexicans are raza. Chicanos are raza. We're all raza. When you hear that word raza, it actually means, like, instead of using the word Latino or Hispanic, we can actually use the word raza to identify ourselves, right? Without having to use the word Latino. So la raza, you know, we're hung up on teaching our children and educating into this thing called indigenous culture. And the problem with the indigenous culture is that they reject the Bible, because they say that the Bible, or the indigenous culture, insinuates that the Bible is a white man's book that has nothing to do with us. But what they don't know is that the Spaniards that bring the book, once again, the Spaniards that bring the book, even though they had that book, they did not go by the book. So this book comes from a time further than them. This is our book. This is the book of the Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians. They simply bring this book because they knew that book is like the Bible is the book of the Hebrews. And it is a book that has laws and statutes and commandments. And when they bring this over, they did not follow any of the law, statutes, and commandments. Like, you know that the Catholic Church don't care about the Bible, because they accept homosexuality. So with that, you already understand that they're not with the Bible. Another thing, Monique and Shalom Yahweh, another thing you should know about the Catholic Church is that they're allowed to eat pork, shrimp, and lobster. So once again, there's another thing. They do not go by the Bible. Another thing they have is a lot of Catholic churches, man, they accept abortion. There it is. They do not abide by the Bible. Another thing is that we know it, right? That within that institution known as the Catholic Church, there is a lot of child molestation and rape and other things like that that are prohibited in the Bible. So, you know, that also gives you a sense of knowing that the Catholic Church cannot be of God or chosen or priests and prophets of the Lord, because they don't abide by the laws that are in the Bible. So with that, it should give you, you know, for common sense, or a person who has, you know, that of common sense, or is knowledgeable with the right from wrong, should understand that why would I even want to participate in an institution that would do something like that? Like you see the Ku Klux Klan, right? For example, why would a black man want to participate in the Ku Klux Klan when he knows that it's an organization that discriminates and hates, you know what I mean, blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians, and all this? So why would you want to be part of that, right? You'd separate from something like that. Us too, if we're intelligent beings, smart, then we would know to separate from anything that is not part of us. And when we see something that is good, then we should understand, well, wait a minute, they abide by, you know, the Thawada, the confession booths. that's a joke in itself. You know what I mean? That's a joke in itself, the confession booth. But, you know, why would we want to participate in something like that? That is that's a division being established within those own churches that caused them to fall away. You know what I mean? It was oh man, that's you know what, that's a good point. Salakia, everybody. I'm also looking at my my StreamYard, and Taza Aya bring up a good point. I had said that the word raza kind of means blood. It kind of means like, you know, root blood. That's what it means. And she said, I remember back in the days, we used to call each other, these are the brothers, these are black brothers and sisters, they used to call each other, what's up, blood? I remember that going to school, and they would say that word, what up, blood? But blood is, you know, we're looking at it as blood, but as a gang, but I think it means more like bloodline. You know what I mean? It means more like blood. Like when we call each other raza, we use that word in the terminology and in a way of saying, you know, you're my blood, you're my raza, you're my gente. Eres mi raza, eres mi gente. You know what I mean? And I think that's what it would mean too, Tazaya. Blood means like you my people, you my bloodline, you from my seed. And that's what raza also means. Sorry for going off, but let's get back here. So, you know, if the Catholic Church is like that, then why would we be part of the Catholic Church? We know that there's thousands and thousands for years. Man, let me tell you, I'm at work and I'm hearing on the radio, there's a lawsuit going on that you can call up and participate in if you had been molested in certain churches, in certain Catholic schools, or in certain Catholic schools, things like that. And right now there's a lawsuit in California, and limited time, that you can go and apply, and you can get, you know, you can get compensation for being molested in the Catholic Church, in the Catholic school. You know what I'm saying? In these places. So that, man, even the lawyers know it's a given that this is common knowledge that the Catholic Church was you know, something that we do, that they did, you know, as you know, wicked and against the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Some of the youths, young blood, we used to use it as to, oh, okay, Baraka Yala, Salakia Arwan, us Benjamites. Okay, see, the Benjamites call some of the youths young blood. Some of the youth, young blood, we use a slang too. Okay, young blood also, you know, directing the word as, you know, your blood, you're part of my blood. Even then it goes deeper, because when we call ourselves Akim, we don't call you know, Edomites Akims, or we don't call Asians Akim, or we don't call any other nation Akim. We call ourselves Akim. And man, that would be a good way of knowing, like when you see a Mexican, and I know a lot of brothers and sisters, you know, in the world, that like, no, you're light skinned, man. You gotta be white. You gotta be that. But let me tell you something. Spaniards don't use that word, carnal. Don't use that word, raza. It's not a word they use. We use that word because we understand that word. Carnal, even though it sounds carnal, it means like meat, carne, meat. You're from me, carnal. That's a word we use. The Hispanics use the word carnal. We use it sparingly. We call each other, like at work, I call my coworkers carnalito. He's young kids, and I'm like, ¿Qué pasó, carnalito? Which is a term of endearment, meaning you're from me. You're part of me. You're like my race. When we say the word carnal, raza is that too. Raza means you're my race, you my people. Okay, so let's move forward. You know, it's funny we use these words, and yeah, I see that you know, growing up in my neighborhood, a lot of Black and Hispanics. That's all we were. Growing up in Southgate, growing up in the Hollywood area, growing up in these areas out here, South Central, places like that. You know, Long Beach. It's all Black and Hispanic. You know, of course, we have issues with some others. You know, we see as you know, friends to us. You know, and likewise the other way around. A lot of Hispanics too, enemies. A lot of Hispanics friends. So it's a roller coaster ride out here between Black and Hispanics. You know what I mean? But it's about time. You know, as always. You know, that's why we're here in the ISUPK, because we're here to bring us together, to finally put an end to the war that we have with each other, and bring in an era of understanding that we are not the enemy. Black man, you are not my enemy. Hispanic man, you are not the enemy. You know what I'm saying? Native American Indian, you ain't not the enemy. Benjamites, you ain't not the enemy. You know, we all understand who the enemy is. So as for us, it's a new era. It's a new time. It's time for us to start understanding where we're coming from and how we're going to handle this. You know what I'm saying? So let's go back to the Catholic Church. So, you know, the Catholic Church comes with Cortez, with Khan Tazaya. I am on a different platform. I'm also on my Facebook, Kazakh Yad, but I think this one is kind of better, the live StreamYard, because I can always post your little comments up there and they look good. You know what I'm saying? So let's go back. So the Spaniards come around, you know, and they bring this whole kind of different vibe with them, but they do not bring the Bible for what it's for the content. They bring the Bible as a tool to destroy us. You know what I'm saying? Because if they really believed in the Bible, they would not have done to the Aztecs and to the indigenous people of Latin America what they did. They would not have done that. They would not have done to not only us, man, the Mexicans, but the Central Americans, the Peruvians, you know what I'm saying, and everybody in Latin America. You know, that wouldn't have happened. We would have been in a whole different level if they'd have come in peace. But they do not come in peace. They came with war. What does the Bible say? His lips are smoother than butter. His words were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. And that's exactly what happened to us. They came with words and promises and love, and you know, they wanted to make things better, but in reality, it was war that they sprang up against the Hispanic people. And when you see once again, when you see the indigenous movement, I'm going to call it the indigenous movement of the Hispanics, the raza in at least in my neighborhood in LA, they're trying to bring in the indigenous movement, but at the same time, they're trying to reject the Bible. You know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure that our Black brothers have a similar thing. Our Judite brothers have a similar thing with the African movement, with the movement that they have. They also do the same. They're trying to tell you, no, the Bible is the Ankh, you know, and they try to come out with all this. So here's another strong similarity between Black and Hispanics. My Black brothers and sisters in the ISUPK who are knowing the Judites are battling these brothers who want to be Africans. And us Issacharite brothers who are in the ISUPK are battling these brothers who want to be indigenous. And both of them want to reject the Bible. Both of them want to say that it's the book of the white man. And in reality, we know that that's not what it is. The Bible, and think nothing but bad thoughts because of our oppressor. Khan Morakapath, you're absolutely right. You know what? We've had some Gadite brothers and sisters come on my show, and they come against us, talking about the Bible is the white man's book, talking about that's this and that's that. One even said the Bible killed our people, and we were like, well, how is the Bible going to kill your people? You know, it doesn't have hands, it doesn't carry weapons. How can a Bible kill your people? And here we go to what we started with. Just the way Esau picks up an AK-47 and goes on the rampage, and now they're blaming it on the AK-47 that it's killing people, that they need to remove it. Well, maybe they need to remove Esau completely. Maybe they need to look at Esau and be like, you know what? He's what they used to do to us. We fit the description. Now every Caucasian could fit the description. Any young 15 up 13 12 11 12 13 14 15 up to 23 up to 30 up to 40 fits the description of a mass shooter. You know what I'm saying? And they've been doing that since the day they set ground here in 1492. So it's nothing new to us. We had to go through it as a nation, right? We allowed these people to come into our place, and they destroyed us, and they're continuing to do the same. They have never changed. You know, a lot of people want to say, well, you know, you're racist, you're talking, you know, not everybody's the same. They've been doing it for 600 years. Come on. So when in 600 years are you going to decide, okay, well, maybe not, you know, but they've been doing it for 600 years. Like to Black and Hispanics, they've been doing it to us for a long time. They've been doing this forever. Absolutely, Barack Ayala. We need to profile them. We need to profile them. You know what I mean? We need to be like, well, you know what? If you're at work, and you know, and I know all the brothers say this, you see one walk in, you should be aware. You should be like, okay, you know, don't be confident. If he walked into your business or into your workplace, you should understand that it's a dangerous thing. And the thing is that, you know, since they set foot here, they've used the Bible against us, and they found a way to separate us from the Bible. That's how wicked these people are. They found a way to separate us and our people from our God, from our Bible, from our truth, from our law, statutes, and commandments, and from what would give us life. They found a way to separate us. They found a way to get us to separate from our God. You know what I'm saying? What is that? They had found a ways to make us separate from God. It's biblical. I'm trying to think of that precept. What is that? Slips my mind. It'll come to me. But you know, they taught us to do that, and in return, we fell for it. We actually fell into this whole thing that they did. And today, you know, are like a lot of us here on this thread, we understand what it is. The sisters on this thread, the brothers on this thread, we understand what it is. But how about your family? How about your mom? How about your dad? How about your brothers? How about your sisters? It's hard to get them to understand. They're looking at you like you crazy. They see you be modest now. You know, the sisters dressing more modest. They don't want to, you know, show anything no more. The sisters being more, you know, cordial, and brothers being, you know, the way they should be. No longer at war with each other. We think about things now. We don't see people the same way. The ISUPK has taught us and gave us strength to treat each other correctly. Now we don't see things the same no more. We would never abort, you know, we would never harm another brother. We would reconsider before doing things, when before in the past, we were quick, a lighted match to go into and argue and complain or fight, you know what I'm saying? But now we rethink things because we've been brought back. We've been brought back to God. We've been brought back to the Bible. This shows you how when they got a hold of the Bible, they separated us from it. But now that we've been able to come back to the Bible, now we're closer. Now we see things and we understand. Like now we don't, sometimes our parents are like, man, like sometimes we're like, I'm at my last rope with my parents. But if it had been in the world, or if I had not been in the truth, I probably would have gone and called them and, this and this and this and this and this and this. Try to find an argument. But now in the truth, we realize, man, they don't know what they're doing. You know what, they're out of it, and they're just not, they're just not right. And now we reconsider everything. We reconsider when we see a black man on the street that's poor. We reconsider. We don't think, oh, he's a drug addict, or man, look at this, or we don't say those things no more. Now we see them and we're like, ugh, now we have compassion for our people. Now we have compassion for our people. Now we have compassion for Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians. You know what I mean? They now it's different. Now it's not what we used to be. I'm sure everybody on this thread, Taza Aya, Marakapad, Vanessa, I'm pretty sure all of us at some point, Manalik Gutierrez, I'm sure in the past, we weren't really 100%, because we were Christian, because we were Catholic, and the Christian church taught that. The Catholic Church taught that. I mean, that's the seed of these churches. The seed of these churches is deception, is lies, is misunderstanding, misguidance. You know what I'm saying? Everything of the above that takes you away from a God is what these churches are, is what these churches represent. So if you're part of those institutions, then yes, you are still within that reach of being just like them. You know what I mean? If you're a Christian, what happened the other day? Man, we know these people, me and my wife, and we went to see them, and they were, they were just not the people. Then it turns out that the guy is a Christian pastor, and I was like, oh yeah, my wife was like, yeah, his wife told me he was a Christian pastor. I was like, what the hell? He's like, yeah, he's a minister, and I was like, oh, no wonder he's like that. No wonder he's, no wonder he's garbage, no wonder he's that type of person. And I was cool, but I was like, I got a bad flavor from him. I was like, I don't know about this guy. But we went anyways, we sat there with them, and then I realized, I said, no wonder he's like that. Because this guy, even though he's Hispanic, he's a Christian pastor. You know what I'm saying? And because he's a Christian pastor, well, that's why he's the way he is. And you don't want to criticize anybody, but I'll criticize the church. I'll criticize the Christian church, the Catholic church. I'll criticize them because they do not teach our people correctly. It's not that brother's fault he's like that. It's the institution that he's part of that's creating him to be like that. You know what I'm saying? It's them that's making it. And so since we're in these institutions, a nation divided cannot stand. We're running on borrowed time. The longer we're in these churches, in these institutions, then we're going to fall apart. Your family's going to fall apart. Your whole structure of being, what you are is eventually just going to deteriorate. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because you're part of an institution that the seed that it comes from is corruption, is destruction, is not right. You come to the UPK, and one of the things about the UPK, Manalik, over 500 years of miseducation. You absolutely right about that. You know what I'm saying? You're absolutely right about that. 500 years of miseducation. And let me see. They gave the slaves the whitewashed Bible, even taking out books. Tazaya, you absolutely right about that. You know what I mean? They gave us, man, they didn't give us the wrong book. They gave us, like Manalik Gutierrez says, they gave us the wrong education. That's why they used to, now it makes sense when I was with my grandma and they read the book in Latin, because they didn't want you to know what they were saying. Like, come on, man, we're in a ranch. My grandma was from a ranch, like, you know what I'm saying? They had outhouses. They had no paved roads. They had dirt. You know what I'm saying? There was no running of water. the water came in a truck, you know, and then they fill up like I don't know what it was called in English, but they fill this thing up with water for your whole month. You know, they didn't know nothing about Latin. What the hell's Latin doing in a ranch? You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't speak Latin there. That's crazy. Like, you barely spoke Spanish right there. But anyways, so, you know, you bring these institutions in, and what their goal is to destroy us. And there is, when you see what happened to my grandma, the goal for the church was to keep people ignorant. And that's what's happening to our people. Our people are ignorant. Our people are living in a lie, and this lie is being perpetuated us to our children, to our grandchildren, and so on and so forth. And that's exactly what happened when the Catholic Church came to Latin America and landed there and established their churches, their missions, and their whole purpose of the missions, the schools, the boarding schools, was to miseducate children so that in return, these children could miseducate their children. And it went on like a domino effect to this day where we stand today, where we've been miseducated. And I go for your families, your mom and your dad and your brothers and sisters, where they're miseducated. And when you come with the real truth, you're the one that's wrong. You're the one that is in a cult. You're the one that is shouldn't be dressing like that. You're the one that is reading the Bible wrong. You're taking it too serious. That's the word. You're taking it too serious. They're like, oh man, you take it too serious. You know, you're you know, what words do they use? They use a word. You take it. You know, you're too into it. You know, you can never be too into it. You got to learn what it is. Today we're seeing this, and now getting to the point. We're seeing this, that the miseducation of America and the destruction of this place is what's happening today. America is running on borrowed time. That time is coming to its end. These people miseducated Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians. And just like when they came into our neighborhoods and spread the crack and spread you know, the cocaine and the heroin in our neighborhoods, and then it slowly started to leak out into their neighborhoods, and their children became addicts. Their children became the crackheads, the meth heads, the coke heads. Their children started to fall into what they gave us. It started trickling down to them. And now it's done the same when it comes to the Christian and Catholic churches. Their miseducation, their lies have now trickled down to them. And now they're feeling it. Now they're the ones that are being miseducated. They're the ones that are realizing that they've been living a lie. They've been living a lie this whole time. And now it's our turn, Black, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, to take our place, right? And we're the ones that are going to educate. What they thought, man, they look at us like we're less than they are. And they're about to realize that we are more than they are. Like, they're about to understand that we're the true priests and prophets. And we're going to educate them in what they couldn't educate us in. Because that's the way it's got to be. And you know what? It's a sad thing, because I see a lot of my raza, mi gente, ¿verdad? That they're so hung up on the Christian and Catholic religions that they refuse to let it go. They refuse to let that religion go. But we're going to see it. What does the Bible talk about? The falling away, the falling away, that the Lord cannot come till first there is a falling away, and the man of perdition be exposed. That's the time that we're living in today. If you don't know that precept, you have to understand that that's an important precept for our time. You know what I'm saying? Because that precept right there is the one that we're living in today. You know what I mean? Give me 1 second. Salakia. I have it here somewhere. Okay, here we go. 2 Thessalonians 2:1-3 is what you would be looking at, where it says, "Now I beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Christ and by our gathering together unto him." And that that precept just starts right away off the beginning should give you an understanding when he says that we are gathering together. And when he says about gathering together, he's talking of Black, Hispanic, and Native American. That's us gathering together. It says that ye be not soon shaken in mind or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that day of Christ is at hand. Now, what he's speaking about is the day of the Lord, the coming of Christ Almighty, his second coming to us in the time when this is going to come to an end. It says, let no man deceive you by any means. And this is the time when you read this in verse 3, let no man deceive you by any means. That's what's happened to us. We were warned, but since we didn't understand this Bible, that warning, it didn't calculate to us. We didn't understand it. It never made sense. But now it makes sense. Now it makes sense when it says, let no man deceive you by any means. Because what's happening is that's what the Christian church has been doing. That's what the Catholic Church has been doing. They have been deceiving us. They have been telling us lies. And like all those brothers that I'm talking about that are in the indigenous movement, they're being lied to. They're being deceived. And in return, they're also trying to deceive. They're also trying to get us Raza to go back to our indigenous ways. Now, there is nothing wrong with you loving, your tu patria, your ancestors, nothing wrong with that. But there's a lot wrong when you do not understand your true history, when you don't understand where you come from, that we come further than that. And to understand that, you really have to do that study and begin to see that our people come from a place further than that time. And we're being deceived by not understanding our history, by not doing the study. Most High in Christ for this school, because even though I used to study Latin American history and all this, really the bringing together of the Bible and my Latin American studies was not there. Like, I knew all about my Latin history, my Chicano history, my Mexican history, my indigenous history. Like, I knew all about that, but I did not know the connection between my history and the biblical history. That was what was missing. That's the part that was separating us. So when you're not in the truth, when you want to go protest, you want to go and vote for some Chicano politician, you want to go and march for women's equal rights. Oh yeah, no, the women, we got to march equal rights for las mujeres, You want to go and march. Oh no, this politician, he's got to go and we got to march for him. We got to do right, We want to do these things, We want to go and protest. And then when you start to realize that what are we protesting for? What are we getting politicians for that don't help us out? That don't do nothing for us, that don't stand for our people. So when we see that, we begin to understand that isn't for us, and that we're being deceived by the politics, by the miseducation, by all this that's going on. We're being deceived, and the only way to get out of it is re-education, and that's what the ISUPK did. ISUPK came back and set a standard for re-education. Now, we come from all walks of life. I know a lot of brothers don't come from where I came from, the educational side of Chicano studies and Latin American studies. But that's okay, because a lot of brothers came from a place that I didn't come from. And they have a little bit more understanding of some parts that I don't. But you have to understand that when we begin to speak about these things, you have to understand that we're all a grain of salt in this whole thing. Somos, ¿qué dice? El granito de sal que acumula todo y hace lo que debe de ser, which means we're a piece to the puzzle that comes together. That's just in Spanish, but it says, let no man deceive you, and we're being deceived. We're being deceived in many ways. And here we are to re-educate ourselves. Here we are to set a standard, not for us, But for those that are coming behind us, our children, our you know, our children, our grandchildren, you know what I'm saying? Let me get rid of that. There you go. Our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, you know, our cousins, our nieces, we're here to be able to, you know, set a standard for them so that they can walk in the same way that we walk. Let's move forward with 2 Thessalonians 2:1-3. And it also says, for that day shall not come. Shalom, Bara Laba, Shalom sis, and Mariah, Shalom sis, the water for jumping on the soul. So, and then it says, for that day shall not come. When it says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come. Well, it's telling you, right, that that day's not going to come yet. There's something that's got to happen before that day comes, before the Lord, the Most High, comes, before Christ comes and clears this place up. Something has got to happen. That's why he says, for that day shall not come, right? Except there come a falling away first. And there is the key, the falling away. When we begin to leave the lies and the deception, the Catholic Church, the Christian Church, these institutions that have never done nothing for us, these organizations that say they're with us but don't do nothing for us. Here in California, man, there's homeless, a lot of Hispanics. Man, you know, we're out on the street. We're trying to survive. Los taqueros, right? Los eloteros, la raza que viene de los Nieves. These are all my people that are trying to survive. And let me tell you something, man. It's a sad story because when you see my people, you don't realize how hard they work, how hard they try to come over here. You know what I'm saying? And the dangers that they face just to make it to a country where they're going to try even harder just to survive. Like, you think that you haven't made here, but in reality, you got to put in double the work. In Mexico, you're not doing that. In Mexico, let me tell you something. In Mexico, you're just kind of chilling. You're, you know, day goes in, day goes out, day goes in, day goes out. Life is slow. You know, you're not really, you know. Here, you have to work. You got to pay a rent. You have to work or you'll find yourself on the street. You have to work or you're not going to eat. You have to work or you're not going to have clothes. Like right here, La Raza, man, like, you know, I see them all the time. There's an old lady who comes by my place, right, my house, and she's pushing a shopping cart where she collects plastic, all the bottles, plastic bottles, and she's got that thing to the top. Y es una viejita. She's an old lady, and she has a house down the street. It's not her house, they rent, but her son, she was telling us her son's work just to pay the rent. And she's out collecting the bottles just to get food and to, you know, and to pay rent and to pay bills. That's how difficult it is to live in America. That's the burden of America for Hispanic people. Like, people don't understand the burden that it is to live in America for a Hispanic man and woman. Like, you just don't know what it is. You don't know how hard it is to be out here. You don't know what it is to be out here. Man, 2 days ago on the news, a Hispanic lady was attacked, right, on the streets. She had her taco stand, and some crazy woman, you know, went up and just started destroying her stand. And to top it all off, you know, she went and she assaulted her. Yeah, she socked her. She assaulted her in the middle of the broad daylight while she was filming her. She didn't have enough with destroying her stand that she had to assault her. Let me tell you something. To put those taco stands up is not easy. All the utensils, the stand, the lights, the trays, everything you have to buy to make your little business possible is a lot. It's not easy. It's a difficult thing to do that. Like, my raza works hard to try to, you know, bring in a few bucks a day just to be able to make ends meet out here. And what's happening is that America, in its division, is dividing itself from the people and the government, where we're starting to see, like you saw the price of gas, and you saw in California the price of water, and the price of rents or the mortgage. You know, we have the mortgage. You know, the price of living. You know what I'm saying? Is ridiculous in America. Like, this place is a difficult place to live in, and for Hispanics it's even worse. And when you say, you know, when the Bible says that we live between two burdens, you know, we know exactly what it is, because when we go to Mexico and we try to live in Mexico, the burden we have to live in Mexico is difficult because of all that's going on over there. And then we come to the United States, and man, it's a bigger burden in the United States. You got to deal with all kinds of obstacles that come at you when you're Hispanic. You deal with all kinds of things that are happening to you. And let me tell you something. I know that people look at Hispanic people and some of them think, well, this guy's got it made. This guy's good. Let me tell you something. I got a corporate job, you know, at a warehouse. I won't mention it, but you know what it is. And I go through things with my Caucasian coworkers because they feel like I don't need a day off, you know, when I ask for it. They feel like I don't need to go home early. They go early every day. They're like, every day, man. Like, it's ridiculous. It's just, all I hear them yell, oh, okay, I'm gonna go home now, and they take off. They're gone. They're home. And me, I gotta ride my whole shift. There's times that I'm like, man, I want to complain, or I want to go home early too. Sometimes I don't need to run the whole shift, but they leave because they leave us there. We're the ones who run that shop. We're the ones who keep the shop going. And then they go in and out as they want. Some of them take, man, I'm not lying to you, 2 months off. Like, they get a whole month, 2 months off, and they find some way to do it. And I didn't even know. Like, if I'd have known. But during the COVID time, I'm just barely finding out. During the COVID time, I was wondering, why aren't my Caucasian workers, you know, here? Like, where the hell are they, man? They like a long time vacation. Man, you're off for the 4th. Yeah, no doubt. Hey, you know, what happened is that a lot of them were saying they filed for this. I didn't even know you could file for this. Man, that's how they keep us out of the loop. Listen to this. They had this thing where if you had kids, right, during the COVID time, and they weren't going to school, and you were a father or a mother, you could actually get time off from work to stay with your kids at home, and you were getting paid for that. I was like, what the hell? Man, tell me that shit again. They were like, yeah, if your wife is like working, and if your wife is like working at home, like, you know, since you couldn't go to your office, you could work at your house, but you had the option of not going to work. Over at my job, these guys didn't go to work, right? Because they gave the excuse that while their wife was working in the room, they had to watch the kids because the kids weren't going to school and they were at home unattended. But your wife was like in the next room, but she was at work. And I was like, how the hell does that work? Like, how come I didn't know about that? Like, what the hell, you know? Like, where was I? How come that, what do they say? How come that memo didn't get to me? You know what I'm saying? Like, goddamn, you know, a lot of them, man, I worked through the whole goddamn COVID thing. Like, I worked through the whole thing. These people, they got all the COVID time off. There was people who were off for a whole year. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I was like, man, loopholes, loopholes. No, not loopholes. Privileges, carnal. A white privilege. That's what it is. Because they didn't let us know. A lot of us Hispanic guys were like, oh, really? We were like amazed at that. We were like, man, all of us had the same sentiment. We're like, man, they get away with murder, man. They get away with all that shit. And man, I said the word, they get away with murder because they got away with this shit. And me, I worked through the whole goddamn thing. You know what I mean? I had to work the whole thing. And these bastards were at home sitting on their asses, not doing nothing. And I'm like, man, I can't believe. Let me see. In New York, someone had a food stand, and just because they didn't have a vendor's license, the city tossed it in the trash. Oh, Kantazaya. Yeah, out here they were doing the same, but then look at what happened. They used to do that. The city, what was that? The city, the health department. If you didn't have a permit, they could go and take your fruit or your food or whatever and throw it in the trash. They were doing that. But during the COVID time, right, a lot of the cafes and the restaurants out here in the rich areas, what they were doing is they were closing the streets and putting all their food out on the street. So they were actually using like outdoor patios to serve food for it can be out in the open. And if you had your food out in the open, out on in the street, then you could open up your restaurant. But you didn't need a permit for it. All you had to do, the city blocked it off and did it for they could maintain their their businesses, I guess, and so they allowed them. So they allowed food outside on the patios and outdoors and caterings and stuff like that. So that's how, believe it or not, I know that this is true. That's how Hispanic people started getting into the whole taco thing, because they were like, oh yeah, or like Malik said, a loophole. Oh really? So they took advantage of it. They were like, man, we jumping on it. If they're actually allowing people to do that, then they started springing up taco trucks, taco stands all over the place. But man, me and my wife, we go out to East LA, and there was this guy, favorite spot of ours for outdoor tacos. And the guy would get on this corner, right? This main street corner, and he put his taco stand. And this weekend that we went out there, the city actually put these big cement blocks right on that corner where they serve their food. And we were like, really? We couldn't believe it. I was like, man, the city did that shit on purpose. They did that on purpose to deter them and get them to leave that area. Man, that's East LA. That's the Hispanic area. You know what? They should be off limits to anybody else but Hispanic people. That was the place where they put us in a long time ago, sent us all to the east side. We grew up in those housing projects in the low end of the low side of the cities, the east side. That's where we grew up on. It should stay like that. Like we should have our way in east side. East side should be run by Hispanic people. Like whatever we say goes should go. We should have our own committee. We should have our own city district. We should have everything. Like they should stay away from us. They should take their garbage somewhere else. But once again, even though we're there, it's not ours. We're under the thumb and under the microscope of someone else, And so here in North Hollywood, another all Hispanic area, they had the Armenians went down there to shut down, right? To shut down their their swap meets. Just like that, they were also trying to shut down another swap meet out in Santa Fe Springs. They had bring out that they were going to shut it down. The city wanted the land, and that is the place for all Hispanics to go. And they do concerts there, oldies concerts, like every weekend. And they just seem to find ways to try to shut down our areas, our neighborhoods, our entertainment places, or our places where we gather. That's really what it is. They're trying to find ways to close down where we gather. Gutierrez, absolutely, gentrification comes in all shapes and forms. Gentrification comes into all our neighborhoods. You know what I mean? But that's why we need to separate from these people. You're right, Gutierrez. That's why we need to separate, because they have nothing good for us. They have nothing good for us. They see nothing good about us or give us any slack for anything we do. You know what I'm saying? For them, we're just outcast. We're just, just another number. And that's why we got to separate. But once again, what we got to do is we got to come back. We got to come back to who we are. We got to come back and show support for each other. We got to come back and re-educate ourselves. That's what we really got to do. We really got to come back to who we are, who we were at the beginning. We got to come back to the Bible. We got to come back to the Most High. We got to come back to Christ. We got to start doing what we were supposed to do and become the people that we were meant to be. We were a nation above every nation that was on the face of the earth. We were the Lord's special people. You know what I'm saying? That's who we were. But we let that go in order to come and follow our oppressor, in order to come and become part of a nation that hates us, that you know, sees us as a problem. And as long as we're connected to this place, we will always see the difficult side of things. And America is running on borrowed time. So are we on that time too? Do we include ourselves of a time where we're also going to learn that it's our time is up also? Are we going to lose it too? Or are we going to get away from this place, knowing that let them run out of time, but let our time begin? You know what I'm saying? Let our time begin. They're going to run out of time. Ours is just beginning. And the way we're going to start seeing that is by separating ourselves from this nation so that we might start new. You know what I mean? And the way to start new is this right here, coming back to the law, statutes, and commandments of the Bible. That's the way we're going to do it. That's the way we're going to find our way out of this. And once again, not for you, not for me, but for those that are coming behind us. I always say this to the brothers. We're actually the beginning of a new change. We're the beginning of what's going to be. The Lord that might come in 5 years, 10 years, you know. He might not come in that time. Lord willing, he does, but he might not come in 10 years. He might not come in this time. But one thing is for sure, that today, or as of, you know, a couple of years ago, you know, for Hispanics, you know, talking about La Raza, and for the brothers a little bit further back, you know, we seen the beginning of a new era. And that era is where we begin to educate, where we begin to set the standard for a new way of seeing things, a new perspective for Hispanic people. Like, this is what it is for us. We're about to see things differently. We're about to educate our children differently. We're about to bring up our children different than what we were brought up. And this is the start of something new. And we're going to be those that'll be remembered as they're the ones who started this. They're the ones who bring in a new life, a new era. We're the ones who are going to do it. And how we're going to do it is by staying in this, by continuing and following, you know, our law, statutes, and commandments, our orders, you know, following in line of what we're supposed to do. And it's difficult. It ain't easy, but we can do it because that's what we're here for. Man, our ancestors died. Our ancestors died for freedom. You know, you know, if you're talking about Hispanics, right? La Revolución, our parents died, man. Many of our parents died in that. And the Aztec, the during the conquest, many of them died because they didn't want to be part of that. You know what I'm saying? And during the time of the French War, many of us died because we didn't want to be part of that. And so on and so forth. We continue to die because we don't want to be part of the garbage that another nation brings to us and tries to make us part of. So if we don't want to be part of their nation, then what nation do we want to be part of? If we don't want to be part of the American nation or a Spaniard nation or the French nation or any of these nations, so what nation do we want to be part of? What do we want to, where do we want to see ourselves? What is it that we're searching for? Because if you're here, you know, if you're here in America, what, you trying to be part of America? You know, that's an insult to our people to be part of this nation. So what nation are we really trying to be part of? What are we trying to participate in? Well, we found something. there is something revolutionary that we should participate in. There is something here that does call for us to rise up, that does call for us to pay attention and to educate ourselves. There is something here that does call for us for patience, and it calls for us to start to work on ourselves. And that is coming back to the Lord, because that war is coming and we must be prepared for that war. And right now is the stage of education. Everything takes stages. Nothing just happens. People look at it and they're like, well, that's not, well, what are you guys doing? Like, you see the Brown Berets, they march, they go out there, they gather, they do rallies and la chingada, you know, they rally, they do all this. And then they tell you, well, we're preparing. What are you preparing for? You're preparing because you're trying to vote. You're trying to vote somebody in. That's what you're preparing for. What are you preparing for? You're not going to go to war in America because you're going to war in a land that's been taken from you. It's not yours. So what do you consider? Well, you got to educate your people to rise up for a better cause. And what's that better cause? There is no better cause than to rise up for the Most High, for God himself, because we're at the stage of education and we got to educate our children to get the hell out of the Catholic Church because of all the perverse things they do, because of all the wicked things that they're doing to our children, because of the lies they teach us. Well, there is one right there. You're going to rise up, educate your children, make sure they never go to that institution. What's another one? The Christian church. I don't want my kids going to a Christian church. Who was that? La Luz del Mundo. You guys haven't heard of that? La Luz del Mundo. Their leader, right, about a week ago, got caught up for child trafficking, child molestation, right, embezzlement, all kinds of charges. They're dropping all kinds of charges on this guy. You know, they're dropping all these things on this guy because of what he did in his church. He was molesting 13-year-old girls. Shalom, Isaiah Khan, Malakma Shalom, Miguel Herrera Shalom. You see these you see these people who are destroying our people. Our communities aren't going up. These Catholic churches have billions of dollars. Man, they have mega churches. But your people are still dying in detention centers? Wait a minute. You got billions of dollars and your people are still trying to cross the border and dying on the Rio Grande and dying in a truck, in the back of a truck. And wait a minute. Your people died in the back of this truck. What was it, a week ago in Texas? How many? I believe it was 18, 20 something of them died there in the back of that truck because it was so hot. They found them in the desert. And how about the survivors? So where's the money that the church has, the billions of dollars the church has, to at least help these people bury their dead, or at least help these people to become, legal here? Or where's the help from this church to send those bodies back to their families, that they might bury them with decency? You know what I'm saying? How come they're not doing that? Because the church has no interest in your people. Its interest is to teach you lies. Now, these people died out there. These are our brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? And they'll tell you, well, what are you doing? How come you don't send that money? Let me tell you something, brother. Let me tell you something, sister. What we do today, when we speak like this, is more than anything that anybody could give. Let me tell you, think about it like this. When the brothers in the ISUPK went out to, what was that? To help the Haitian brothers and sisters in Acuna, Mexico, right? When they went out there, I watched the video. I was attentive to the video, and there was this Haitian brother who was standing there, and this Haitian brother told the brothers in the ISUPK, "Hey, man, I seen you guys." He's in Haiti, but he knew who they were. He was, "I seen you guys, and I seen what you guys have done. Khan says, mission to Acuna. He said, I seen what you guys do, and it's great what you guys do. He was like, you can tell by his speech and what he was saying that he was moved by coming to America illegally, being in a situation in Acuna where, you know, they're giving them food and they're rolling in at night. And to his surprise, those brothers that he saw on some video are the ones who greeted him in Acuna. Something unexpected to this brother. He didn't know he was going to run into that. This brother most likely got deported, right, back to Haiti, wherever he was. What he took with him was not money, was not riches, nothing like that. What he took with him was an experience, firsthand experience of the Lord putting in work on people just like him, where what he saw was God's work. And I'm sure that this brother, when he goes back to Acuna, I'm sure that that in his mind will never leave his mind. He will always see that. He will always remember that these brothers that I see on a video were actually there helping. And you know what? That's worth a lot more than anything else. That's worth so much. That impact is a lot to be able to see that. Because when you see that, you realize that, you know what? God's still with us. God's still around. God still talks to people. God still wants to save his people. And he realized that. And when he goes back, he's going to take that with him. I pray that that brother right there becomes, you know, the next captain in out there in Haiti, wherever he came from. That he might establish what's being established all around the world by brothers just like us, everywhere. You know what I mean? Yeah, Khan. Yeah, Khan says Sazaya. Yeah, they were giving the brothers a hard time trying to get in there. But they made it. You know what I'm saying? They made it. And that was impacting as always. And there's places all around, you know. There's places all around, cities all around America where the brothers in the ISUPK are making a difference. You know what I'm saying? They're making a difference. They are doing something. And we'll go even closer. We make a difference. Each of us as individuals, we make a difference. When we speak to people about, you know, the brotherhood, about Christ, about the truth, we make that same difference. That brother who saw those brothers in the Kuna, well, you're that brother. When you get a brother to hear you and see the difference, you're that brother. When you teach a class and brothers log on and see you and they hear and they're like, man, you know what? I needed this today because, man, you know, I was having a bad week and I was feeling like I was falling out. I was going out. We all feel that way, man. We all feel that sometimes, you know, life takes its toll. Man, we've been here a long time in this slavery, right? In this place, America. And I'm not surprised when I hear, ooh, that brother fell out. I'm not surprised because America is a wicked ass nation. And its purpose is to destroy us. Its whole thing is to make us fall out. But each one of us has to have strength to stay in. Each one of us, even though we go through all these things we go through, we have to understand that we have to stay on. We have to make an effort to not fall away. And even though sometimes, you know, you're not there, recognize that we all go through something. Recognize that your brother in the truth, he's going through something too. Recognize that he's there too. Recognize that me, I go through things too. I have a battle too. I have a battle every day. I battle, man. Every day going to work, I got to battle one thing or another. There's times when things come my way that I like, man, you know, whoosh, tough ride, but I'm still here. And if I'm still here, man, brother's gonna be here. If I'm still here, you gonna be here. You know what I'm saying? I'm still broadcasting the inconvenient truth out here from California to all my brothers and sisters who listen. I'm still here. Just because I have, you know, a few listeners, just because I didn't go on, doesn't matter. I'm still here. I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be here because I can't drop out of the truth. Because dropping out of the truth is like saying I'm dropping away from the Most High, dropping away from Christ, dropping away from my brothers and sisters who need my help. I've taken up a responsibility to speak so that maybe brothers and sisters who are not in the truth can come to this truth. That's the whole purpose of it. We're here because we want to make a difference. America is running on borrowed time. And this time that's coming to an end is our time to step up to this game. It's our time to come and do this. We see the shootings, man. We see the shootings all the time. We see these wicked ass people going into malls, going into stores, schools, all these places and shooting them up. And we know that that's what the Lord has poured that cup onto this place, a cup of destruction, a cup of killing. What do they say? Of blood, right? And of death and of famine, right? And all these things, destruction. That's that cup that's being poured onto America. Man, expect it. This is nothing. Expect it to get worse. Expect what you see outside. Be on your guard. What does it say? Be sober, right? Be sober. Be thy sober, because, man, this place is running out. And before it runs out, we're going to see a whole lot of nonsense. And now that we see it on your phone right away, like, man, crazy, huh? Now we see things on our phone as they're happening, as it's going down. Now we're looking and we're like, oh, man, really? You know what I'm saying? And now we can see these things happen. Now we're not waiting for the 11 o'clock news or 10 o'clock news, you know, for it to come on. Now we're jumping on and people are filming this stuff live. And that's how we know that that's happening. And what we got to do is we got to be ready. We got to be ready. You got to be ready with your family. You know, some of us, we think, man, I'm going a lot with my family. Some of us that still, you know, are like here in Cali, you know, a lot of us got to live in family structures. Well, Hispanics, we've always lived family structures. You know, we don't live too far from our families. We live together. It's some people think, oh, you still live with your parents. No, it's not really that, man. You know, that's, I always say that whole thing of, you know, when you say, oh, you still live with your mom and your pops, you still live with your family. Man, I say, man, all of my family live with their family. Like, I remember my uncles, my aunts, my cousins, they like my uncle would build a house for his sons on his property right down. You know what I mean? Right on the same property, he would build their living quarters. And like so everybody else. So like us Mexicans, we're not thinking of, oh, I'm gonna move out. You know, I need to move out now. I need to move out. I need to become independent. You know what I'm saying? Mexicans thinking, man, I ain't trying to move out because I don't pay too much rent here. I can get a car. You know what I mean? I get the things I need. I can still get my drink. If I move out, damn, well, I'm gonna have to pay rent, you know. And we think it like we're like, I ain't trying to do all that, you know. I'm trying to take it easy somewhere, you know. And so we work as a team. Living together is like working as a team. Sometimes we just have to be on the same accord, on the same page to be able to work as a team. And to work as a team, we all have to pitch in to make it work. Things work when we pitch in. When all of us come together and we pitch in, things start to work. When, let's say, if I'm living with my parents, like I used to live with my mother-in-law. Real quick, I'm gonna jump into. I used to live with my mother-in-law, and for a little while I wasn't working. I had money, but I wasn't working, and it seemed like, you know, some of my brothers-in-law, they were like, well, how come you're not working, bro? You know, what's going on? And I'd be like, well, hey man, I pay your rent. I pay my bills, bro. Why do I need to work? They'd be like, well, they couldn't say nothing because as long as they pay the bills. But then in my own eyes, I thought, it is true. I have to kind of get it together. I got to put in something for that. We're even across the board. And then when we did start doing that, things seemed to ease up. We seemed to work better. Things were easier. We all seemed to get along because we were all pitching in, because he had extra money. I had extra money. My wife was working. She bringing money. So we were all easy street. Like it was how many? 3 families in there. It was my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, and me, my wife, and their mother. And so we all pitched in, and it seemed to be easy street because we always had money. Me and my wife always going out, always eating, always had anything we wanted because we didn't have to. It didn't empty out our pockets as if you go and you try to get it on your own. It's a difficult thing, especially in California. You know what I'm saying? But that's easy street, and like that, when we learn to work with each other, we learn to live not only in harmony, but we learn to help each other out. And that's where we're at today. We got to learn to help each other out in more ways than one. We got to learn to bring understanding to each other instead of bickering and fighting against each other. We got to learn to come together as one. You know what I'm saying? If everything would be like that, what a sweet place this would be. You know what I'm saying? We live in excellence, but it's not really working that way. So we got to be patient with some of our loved ones, with some of our families. You know what I mean? We got to be patient. We got to find our way out of it because that's the way it's got to work. As for us, we continue doing this work. Why? Because we want to bring our people in, because we want to save our people, because something is coming and we know it in the ISUPK, even though they don't agree with the way I am on some of my things, with the ISUPK, my family doesn't agree, doesn't matter. Because I always say this, the Lord will have mercy on you. My brothers, my sister, my mom, my dad, because I'm asking for it. Because I'm asking, Lord, have mercy on my brothers. Lord, have mercy on the brothers and sisters in the ISUPK and their families. Lord, have mercy on my Hispanic brothers and sisters, and Black and Native American. And have mercy on them because they deserve mercy. And I will put in this work. I will do these things in hopes that what I ask for, you can give. And what can I ask for? Well, I'm not going to ask for any material thing, knowing how difficult this is about to get. I prefer to ask for mercy for my brothers and sisters, for my family. You know what I'm saying? For my kids, for my grandkids, mercy on them in their health, in their well-being, in their jobs, in their homes. Mercy for them, because that's what we need. And while you're giving mercy, Lord, well, then I'm out here making this battle work. Being a priest and being a prophet. And in return, Lord, be with me and give us mercy. Man, it's about that time, 10:30. I want to thank everybody for jumping on this show and being with me. The Water for joining me tonight. The Water for being with me. Marakapa, right? The Water, Tazaya, the Water, Manalik Gutierrez, the Water. Katazah, Thawada, Marai, Thawada, Vanessa, Thawada for being on the show tonight. Barack Ayala, Thawada for being on the show. All the brothers from One West Virginia out there, Shabar, and everybody else, Thawada for jumping on the show, for being with me. I've been kind of absent a little bit, but you've noticed I haven't had the show. I haven't been on a lot on the internet either. But I'm preparing myself for our lecture in Chicago. It's taking a lot out of me, but I want to have something good. So, I will be being back on the show. You'll see me more on the internet, pushing, my different art and flyers and everything. I'll make sure to do that. The Water, everybody else for jumping in and being with me. Manalik Gutierrez, the Water, Carnal for being here. I'm going to make sure to bring in a little bit more of this heavy Chicano and Latin American history. I haven't brought it out in a while. I know a lot of you have been missing my my Chicano studies and Latin American history. It's been a minute since I bring it out, but for sure I'm gonna get back on it, and we'll be right back to square one. You know what I'm saying? Till next week, shalom. The Water for being on the show. Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai Barakah to all the brothers. Yahweh Bashim I the Shim Yahweh Shai to the sisters. Lord be with you and take care of you. May He have mercy on all of us. Till next week, Shalom Israel.